twilight for hunting. But what do I, Chio, the kite, know of hunting? My people are ever the undertakers of the jungle, feasting upon the dead things. It matters little to we, the carrion, who lives or who dies in the jungle, as we shall make a meal of all in the end, whether we feast upon the tongues that lie, or pluck the eyeballs out of their sockets, staring coldly into the night sky. We make ready the jungle's good earth to receive what was once yielded, second only to the mighty worms. Oh, is this unseemly? Does this not churn the stomach? In truth, such unpleasantness is not to begin this telling, for the jungle is full of such tales. If I made a beginning, there may never be an end. But an end will come in time, just as an end comes to all. This tale touches thee, little brothers and sisters. Let go my ear as I begin the telling. It was 7 o'clock of a very warm evening in the Sienese hills, when father woke up from his day's rest, scratched himself, yawned, and spread out his paws one after the other to get rid of the sleepy feeling in their tips. Mother Wolf lay with her big gray nose dropped across her 4 tumbling, squealing cubs, and the moon shone into the mouth of the cave where they all lived.
It is time to hunt again.
Good luck go with you, O Chief of the Wolves. And good loving, strong, white teeth go to the noble children, that they may never forget the hungry in this world.
It was their hyena, Tabaki, and the wolves despise Tabaki because he runs about making mischief, telling tales and eating rags and pieces of leather from the village rubbish heaps. But they are afraid of him too, because Tabaki, more than anyone else in the jungle, is apt to go mad. And then he forgets that he was ever afraid of anyone and runs to the forest biting everything in his way. Even the tiger runs and hides when little Tabaki goes mad. For madness is the most disgraceful thing that can overtake a wild creature.
Enter then, and look. There is no food here.
For a wolf, no, but for one so mean as I, a dry bone is a great meal. Who are we, the jackal people, to pick and choose? How beautiful are the noble children. How bright their eyes, how strong their teeth. I forget that kings are born only man cubs.
Now, Tabaki, the dish licker, knew as well as anyone else that there is nothing so unlucky as to compliment children to their faces. It pleased him to see Mother and Father Wolf uncomfortable.
Shere Khan has shifted his hunting grounds, or so he's told me.
He has no right. By the law of the jungle, he has no right to change his quarters without due warning. He will frighten every head of game within 10 miles, and I have to kill for 2 these days.
His mother did not call him Lungri the Lame One for nothing. He has been lame in 1 foot from his birth. That is why he has only killed cattle. Now the villagers of the Waingungara are angry with him, and he has come here to make our villagers angry. They will scour the jungle for him, and he is long gone, and we and our children must run when the grass is set alight. Indeed, we are very grateful to Shere Khan.
Shall I tell him of your gratitude?
Out! Out and hunt with thy master.
I go. You hear him down in the thickets? I might have saved myself the message.
Fool! To begin a night's work with that noise. Does he think our buck are like his fat Wangunga bullocks?
Hush. It is neither bullock nor buck that he hunts tonight. It is man.
Man! Are there not enough beetles and frogs in the tanks that he must eat man, and on our ground too?
The law of the jungle, which never orders anything without reason, forbids every beast to eat man, except when he is killing to show his children how to kill. And then he must hunt outside the hunting grounds of his pack or tribe. The real reason for this is that man-killing means, sooner or later, the arrival of men on elephants, with guns. Then everybody in the jungle suffers. The reason beasts give among themselves is that man is the weakest and most defenseless of all living things, and it's unsportsmanlike to touch him. They say, too, that man-eaters become mangy and lose their teeth.
He has missed. What is it?
The fool has had no more sense than to jump at a woodcutter's campfire and has burned his feet. Tabaki is with him.
Something is coming uphill. Get ready.
Man! A man's cub! Look!
Is that a man's cub? I've never seen one before. Bring it here. So this is a man's cub. How little? Oh, how bold. Now, was there ever a wolf who could boast of a man's cub among her children?
I've heard now and again of such a thing, but never in our pack or in our time. He is altogether without hair, and I could kill him with the touch of my foot. But see, he looks up and is not afraid.
My lord went over there.
Shere Khan does us great honor. What does Shere Khan need?
My quarry. A man's cub went this way. Its parents have run off. Give it to me.
The wolves are a free people. They take orders from the head of the pack and not from any striped cattle killer. The man's cub is ours, to kill if we choose.
Ye choose, and you do not choose. What talk is this of choosing? By the bull that I killed, am I to stand nosing in your dog's den for my fair dues? It is I, Shere Khan, who speak.
It is I, Raksha, the demon, who answers. The man's cub is mine, lame one, mine to me. He shall not be killed. He shall live to run with the pack and hunt with the pack. And in the end, look you, naked frog hunter, lamer than thou ever naked cub killer, frog eater, fish eater, he shall hunt thee. Now, get hence, or by the sombre that I killed, for I eat no starved cattle. Back thou goest to thy mother, burnt beast of the jungle, lamer than thou ever camest into the world. Go!
Each dog barks in its own yard. We shall have to see what the pack will think of this fostering of man cubs. The cub is mine, and to my teeth he will come to an end, O bush-tailed thieves!
Shere Khan speaks this truth. The cub must be shown to the pack. Wilt thou still keep him, Raksha?
Keep him, Daruka. He came naked by night, alone and hungry, yet he was not afraid. And that lame butcher would have killed him and run off to the Waingunga, while the villagers here scoured our lairs in revenge. Keep him? Assuredly I will keep him. Lie still, little frog. O thou Mowgli, for Mowgli the frog I will call thee. The time will come when thou wilt hunt Shere Khan as he has hunted thee.
But what will the pack say?
The law of the jungle lays down very clearly that any wolf may, when he marries, withdraw from the pack he belongs to, but as soon as his cubs are old enough to stand on their feet, he must bring them to the pack council, which is generally held once a month at full moon, in order that the other wolves may identify them. After that inspection, the cubs are free to run where they please, and until they have killed their first buck, no excuse is accepted if a grown wolf kills one of them. The punishment is death, where the murderer can be found. Daruka waited till his cubs could run a little, and then, on the night of the pack meeting, took them and Mowgli and Raksha to the council rock, Akela, the great gray lone wolf, who led all the pack by strength, cunning, and prescience. He had fallen into a wolf trap twice in his youth, and once he had been beaten and left for dead, so he knew the manners and ways and customs of men very well.
Ye know the law, ye know the law. Look well, O wolves, look well.
What have the free people to do with a man's cub?
What have the free people to do with the orders of any? Save the free people, look well.
What do the people have to do with the man's cub?
Well, the law of the jungle lays down that if there's any disputes, the right of a cub to be accepted into the pack, he must be spoken for by at least 2 members of the pack, not including his mother and father. Who speaks for this cub? Among the free people, who speaks? Man's cub? Man's cub? I speak for the man's cub. Whew! I have no gift of words, but I speak the truth. Let him enter the pack and be run with the others. I myself will teach him. Baloo has spoken, and he is the teacher of our young cubs. Who speaks besides Baloo?
Akela! And ye the free people, I have no place in your assembly, but the law of the jungle states if there is any dispute about a cub which is not a killing matter, he may be bought for a price. But it does not say who may or may not pay that price. Am I right?
Bagheera's right. Listen to Bagheera.
The cub can be bought for a price. It is a law.
Knowing that I have no place in your assembly, I ask your leave.
Speak, Bagheera.
To kill a naked cub is shame. Besides, he may make better sport when he is older. To Baloo's word, I will add one bull, freshly killed, not a mile from here, and a fat one. With Baloo's word, my bull, is it difficult?
What matter? He will die in winter rains. He will scorch in the sun.
Look well, O wolves. Look well.
Aye, roar well, for the time will come when that naked thing will make thee roar to another tomb, for I know nothing of man.
Men and their cubs are very wise. He may be a help in time.
Truly a help in time of need, for none can hope to lead the pack forever.
Take him and train him as befits one of the free people.
And that is how Mowgli was entered in the Seeonee wolf pack, for the plights of a bull and on Baloo's good word. Now, you must be content to skip 10 or 11 whole years, and only guess at the wonderful life that Mowgli led among the wolves. He grew up with the cubs, and Daruka taught him his business, and the meaning of things in the jungle, till every rustle in the grass, every breath of the warm night air, and every splash of every little fish jumping in the pool meant just as much to him as the work of a field means to a plowman. And he grew and grew strong, as a boy must grow who does not know he is learning any lessons, and has nothing in the world to think of except the things to eat. He took his place at Council Rock, too, when the pack met, and there he discovered that if he stared hard enough at any wolf, the wolf would then drop his eyes. And so he used to stare for fun. He would go down the hillside into the cultivated lands by night, and look very curiously at the villagers in their huts. But he had a mistrust of men, because Bagheera had shown him a box with a drop gate so cunningly hidden in the jungle that he nearly walked into it, and told him that it was a trap. And so the days came when Baloo was teaching Mowgli the law of the jungle. The big, serious old brown bear was delighted to have so quick a pupil, for the young wolves will only learn so much of the law of the jungle as applies to their own pack, and run away as soon as they could repeat the hunting verse.
Feet that make no noise, eyes that can see in the dark, ears that can hear the winds in their lairs, and sharp white teeth. All these things are the marks of our brothers, except Tabaki the hyena, whom we hate.
But Mowgli, as a man cub, had a great deal more to learn than this. The boy could climb almost as well as he could swim, and he could swim almost as well as he could run. All this will show you how much Mowgli had learned by heart, and he grew very tired of saying the same thing over 100 times. But, as Baloo said to Bagheera one day, when Mowgli had been cuffed and run off in a temper,
"A man's cub is a man's cub. He must learn all the law of the jungle."
But think how little he is. How can his small head carry all thy long talk?
Is there anything in the jungle too little to be killed? That is why I teach him these things. And that's why I hit him very softly when he forgets.
Softly? What dost thou know of softness, old iron feet? He's bruised from head to toe today by thy softness.
Better he should be bruised from head to toe by me, who left him, than he should come to harm through ignorance. I'm now teaching him the master words of the jungle that will protect him from the birds and snake people and all that hunt on 4 feet. He can now claim protection if he will only remember the words from all of the jungle. Is that not worth a little beating?
Well, look to it thou dost not kill the man-cub. He is no tree trunk to sharpen thy blunt claws upon. And what are those master words? I'm more likely to give help than to ask it. Still, I should like to know.
I will call him and he shall say them, if he will. Mowgli! Come, little brother!
My head is ringing like a bee tree. I come for Bagheera and not for thee, fat old Baloo.
That is all one to me. Tell Bagheera then the master words of the jungle I have taught thee this day.
Master words? For which people? The jungle has many tongues, and I know them all.
A little thou knowest, but not much. See, O Bagheera, they never thank their teacher. Not one small wolfling has come back to thank old Baloo for his teachings. Say the words of the hunting people then, great scholar.
We be of one blood, ye and I.
Good, now for the birds.
Now for the snake people.
There, that was worth a little bruise, someday thou wilt remember me. No one then is to be feared.
Except for his own tribe. Oh, have care for my ribs, little brother. What's all this bouncing up and down?
I shall have a tribe of my own and lead them through the branches all day long.
What is this new folly, little dreamer of dreams?
And throw branches and dirt at old Baloo. They've promised me this.
Mowgli, thou shouldst be playing with the Banderlope, the monkey people.
Thou hast been with the monkey people, the Grey Apes, the people without a law, the eaters of everything? This is great shame.
When Baloo hurt my head, I went away, and the grapes came down from the trees and had pity on me. No one else cared.
The pity of the monkey people, the stillness of the mountain stream, the cool of the summer sun, and then man come.
And they gave me nuts and pleasant things to eat, and carried me atop of the trees with their arms and said that I was their blood brother, except that I had no tail. I should be their leader someday.
They have no leader. They lie. They have always lied.
They were very kind, bade me come again. Why have I never been taken upon the monkey people? They stand on their feet as I do. They do not hit me with their hard paws and play all day.
Let me up! Listen, manling, I have taught thee all the law of the jungle for all peoples of the jungle except for the monkey folk who live in the trees. They are outcasts. They have no leaders. They have no remembrance. They boast and chatter and pretend they are great people about to do great affairs for the jungle. But a falling of a nut turns their minds into laughter and all is forgotten. We of the jungle people have no dealings with them. We do not drink where the monkeys drink. We do not go where the monkeys go. We do not hunt where they hunt, and we do not die where they die. Hast thou heard me speak of the Banderlope before today?
No.
They are very one of many, evil, dirty, shameless, and they desire, if they have any fixed desire, to be noticed by the monkey people, jungle people, but we do not notice them even when they throw nuts and filth at our heads. The monkey people are forbidden to the jungle, remember.
Forbidden. I still think Baloo should have warned him.
How was I to guess he would play with such jerks? The monkey people!
What Baloo had said about the monkey people was perfectly true. They belonged to the treetops, and as beasts very seldom look up, there was no occasion for the monkeys and jungle people to cross each other's paths. But whenever they found a sick wolf or a wounded tiger or bear, the monkeys would torment him, and would throw sticks and nuts at any beast for fun, in the hopes of being noticed. Then they would howl and shriek senseless songs, and invite the jungle people to climb up their trees and fight them, or would start furious battles over nothing among themselves, and leave the dead monkeys where the jungle people could see them. None of the beasts could reach them, but on the other hand, none of the beasts would notice them, and that was why they were so pleased when Mowgli came to play with them. And they heard how angry Baloo was. They never meant to do any more, the Banderlog never meant to do anything at all. But one of them invented what seemed to him a brilliant idea, and he told all the others that Mowgli would be a useful person to keep in their tribe, because he could weave sticks together for protection from the wind. So, if they caught him, they could make him teach them. The monkey people watching in the trees considered his play most wonderful. This time, they said, they were really going to have a leader and become the wisest people in the jungle. So wise that everyone else would notice and envy them. Therefore, they followed Baloo, Bagheera, and Mowgli through the jungle very quietly until it was time for the midday nap. And Mowgli, who was very much ashamed of himself, slept between the panther and the bear, resolving to have no more to do with the monkey people.
Bagheera? Baloo! Help!
Mowgli! Mowgli! Why didst thou not warn the man cub? What was the use of half slaying with blows if thou didst not warn him?
Haste, oh haste, we may catch them yet.
Nay, a mile that long to and fro would burst thee open. They may drop when we follow too closely.
They may have dropped him already, being tired of carrying him. Oh, put dead bats on my head. Roll me into the hive of the wild bees, or maybe stunned to death and bury me with the hyena. For I'm the most miserable of bears. Oh, Mowgli, why did I not warn thee against the monkey folk instead of breaking thy head?
Baloo, What would the jungle think if I, Bagheera, the panther, curled myself up and howled?
What do I care what the jungle thinks? He may be dead by now.
Unless and until they drop him out of sport or idleness, I have no fear for the man cub. He is well taught, and he has the eyes that make the jungle people afraid.
Oh, fool that I am. Oh, fat, brown, root-digging fool that I am. It is true what Hathi the wild elephant said to each their own fear, as the monkey people fear Ka, the rock snake. She can climb as well as they can. She steals their young monkeys in the night. The whisper of her name make their wicked tails grow cold. Let us go to Ka.
But she sleeps for 30 days after eating. What if she'd rather do her own hunting than rest?
Then thou and I together, old hunter, make her see reason. Good hunting, Ka.
Oh, good hunting. Balu, what dost thou do here? Bagheera, is there any news of game afoot? I'm as empty as a dried well.
We are hunting.
Give me permission to come with you. A blow, more or less, is nothing to thee, Balu or Bagheera, but I have to wait for days and travel on a wood path for even the chance of a young ape. I nearly slipped upon my last hunt, and the noise of my slipping waked the Bundalog, who called me the most evil of names.
Footless, yellow, earthworm.
Have they ever called me that?
It was something of that sort they shouted to us last moon, but we never paid them any mind, Ka.
The Bundalog have shifted their grounds. I heard them whooping among the treetops when I came into the sun.
It is the Bundalog that we follow now.
Certainly, it is no small thing that takes two such hunters, leaders, in their own jungle.
Indeed, I'm no more than the old and sometimes very foolish teacher of the law to see me wolf cubs, and Bagheera here.
It's Bagheera. The trouble is this, Ka. Those nut stealers have taken our man cub, of whom thou hast perhaps heard.
I had heard something of a manling that had entered the wolf pack, but I did not believe it.
It is true. He's such a man cub that never was. The best and wisest and boldest of man cubs. My own pupil shall make the name of Balu famous through all the jungles, and besides we love him, Ka.
Our man cub is in the hands of the Bundalog now, and among all the jungle, we know they fear Ka alone.
They have good reason. Chattering, foolish and vain, foolish and chattering are the monkeys. But a mad thing in their hands is no good luck. Whither went they with the cub?
The jungle alone knows. Towards the sunset, I believe.
Then they have taken him to the monkey city, to the cold lairs. They may stay there for 1 night, or for 10 nights, or for an hour.
It is half a night's journey, at full speed.
I will go as fast as I can.
Nay, we dare not wait for thee. We must go on the quick foot, Ka and I.
Feet or no feet, I can keep abreast of all thy four. Let us go.
They will not hop on my back in their number. When the blue are here, we'll do what we can. I shall go up the terrace. Good hunting. Good hunting.
It's just Bagheera. Get him!
I'm here!
Nearer! Come nearer!
Mowgli, keep thy hand on my shoulder, and let's go back to Ka.
So this is the man. He's not unlike the Bundalog. Tread carefully, man cub, that I not mistake thee for one of the monkeys himself. The next twilight I decide to change my coat.
We wish not very greatly, O Ka.
And what may so bold a hunter kill? All I ask is that I may join thee on my next hunt.
Nay, look, Ka, you have your own game there. We must go back.
Very well. Go now. What happens next? It's not what thou should see.
Whew, nevermore will I make an ally of Ka.
She is far wiser than us. One more minute of that and I would have walked down her gullet.
Many will walk that trail before the moon rises again. She will have a good hunting in her own fashion.
But what was it all? All I saw was a big snake making foolish circles in the dust toward the dark king with sore nose.
Mowgli, her nose was sore on thy account. My sides are sore on thy account. Baloo's head and shoulders are sore on thy account. Speak with more respect.
It is nothing. We have the man cub again.
The law of the jungle, which is by far the oldest law in the world, has arranged for almost every kind of accident that may befall upon the jungle people. Till now, its code is as perfect as time and custom can make it. Mowgli spent a great part of his life in the Seeonee wolf pack, learning the law from Baloo, the brown bear, and it was Baloo who told him, when the boy grew impatient at the constant orders, that the law was like a giant creeper, because it dropped across everyone's back, and no one could escape.
When thou hast lived as long as I have, Manly, thou wilt see that all in the jungle obeys at least one law, and that should be no pleasant sight.
This talk went in one ear and out the other. For a boy who spends his life eating and sleeping does not worry about anything until it actually stares him in the face. But one year, Baloo's word came true, and Mowgli saw all the jungle working under the law. It began when the winter rains failed almost entirely.
The wild yams are drying up.
And what is that to me?
Not much now, but later we shall see. Is there no more diving into the deep rock pools below the B-rocks, little brother?
No, the water is rolling all the way. I need not wish to burden my head.
That is thy loss. A small crack might let in some wisdom.
That spring, the moa tree, that Baloo was so fond of, never flowered. The greeny, cream-colored waxy blossoms were heat-killed before they were even born, and only a few bad-smelling petals came down when he stood on his hind legs and shook the tree. Then, inch by inch, the untempered heat crept into the heart of the jungle, turning it yellow, brown, and at the very last, black. The green growths on the sides of the ravine burned up to broken wires and curled films of dead stuff. The hidden pools sank down and caked over, keeping the last least footmark on their edges, as if it had been encast in iron. The juicy stemmed creepers fell away from the trees. They clung to and died at their feet. The bamboos withered, clanking with the hot winds blew, and the moss peeled off the rocks deep in the jungle, till they were as bare and as hot as the quivering blue boulders in the bed of a stream. The birds and the monkeys went north early in the year, for they knew what was coming, and the deer and the wild pigs broke far away to perish in the fields of the villages, dying sometimes before the eyes of men, too weak to kill them. I, Cheel, the kite, stayed and grew fat. For there was a great deal of carrion, and evening after evening I brought news to the beasts, too weak to force their ways to fresh hunting grounds, that the sun was killing the jungle for 3 days' flight in every direction. And the heat went on and sucked up all the moisture till at the last main channel of the Wanganga was the only stream that carried a trickle of water between its dead banks. And then when Hati, the wild elephant, who lives for 100 years and more, saw a long, lean blue ridge of rock show dry in the very center of the stream, he knew that he was looking at the Peace Rock. And then and there he lifted up his trunk and proclaimed the water truths, as his father before him had proclaimed 50 years ago.
By the law of the jungle, it is death to kill at drinking places in which the water truce has been prepared. The reason for this is drinking comes before eating. Every animal in the jungle can scramble along when only game is scarce, but water is water, and with one source of supply, all hunting stops when the jungle people come here for their needs.
It is an evil time. Last night I killed a bullock under the yoke, and if he had sprung free, I may not dared to follow.
Yes, we'd be great hunters now. I'm very bold to eat grubs.
Is thy stomach full, man cub?
My stomach is full, but I get no good of it. Think, you Bagheera, will the rains fall and never come again?
Not I. We will see the mountain blossom once again, and of that long sweet grass that you love so much, man cub, we will get plenty.
The river has fallen since last night, O Hathi. Hast thou ever seen a like of this drought?
It will pass. It will pass.
We have one here that cannot endure long.
I have no long hair on my bones to cover me from the winter rain, but if thy hide were taken off...
Manling, it is unseemly to tell a teacher of the law. Never have I been seen without my hide.
Nay, I meant no harm, but if thou were like a coconut in that husk, but all naked.
Worse and worse. First Baloo is to be skinned, and now he's a coconut? Look to it he does not do what the ripe coconuts do.
And what is that?
Break thy head.
It is not good to make a jest of thy teacher.
Not good? What would ye have? That naked thing running to and fro makes a monkey jest of those who have once been considered good hunters, and pulls the best of us by the whiskers for sport. The jungle has become a whelping ground for naked cubs now. Look at me, man cub. Man cub this and man cub that. The cub is neither man nor cub, or he would have been afraid. Next year, I shall have to ask his leave for drink.
That may come too. That may come too. Fuck! Shere Khan! What new shame hast thou brought here?
Man! I killed an hour hence.
At such a season as this to kill, man, was no other game afoot.
My kill was for choice, not for food. For choice. Now I come to drink and make me clean again. Is there any to forbid?
Thy kill is from choice.
Even so,
Hast thou drunk thy fill?
for tonight, yes.
Then go, rivers to drink and not to defile, and none of the lame tiger will boast of his kill this season, when we suffer together, man and jungle people alike, clean or unclean, get to thy lair, Shere Khan.
Eventually, the rains returned as Hati had promised. Ka, the big rock python, had changed her skin for perhaps the 200th time since her birth, and Mowgli, who never forgot that he owed his life to Ka for a night's work at Cold Lairs, went to congratulate her. Ka never made fun of Mowgli anymore, but accepted him, as the other jungle people did, for the master of the jungle, and brought him all the news of a python her size could naturally hear.
Does the jungle give all thou desires, little brother?
No. I wish for the sun to shine in the middle of the rains, and for the rains to cover the sun in the deep summer. I also have never gone empty, but I wish I'd killed a goat. I've never killed a goat, but I wish I'd been a buck, but thus do we feel, all of us.
Dost thou desire nothing else?
What more can I wish? I have the jungle, the favor of the jungle. What more between sunrise and sunset?
The cobra said,
What cobra? Hast thou dealings with the poison people? It is not good, for they carry death in the foretooth, which they are small.
The white-eared. A white cobra called Thu, who spoke of something beyond anything I'd ever seen.
That hunting was a new game?
It was not game, it's... I cannot say what it is, but he spoke that Any man would give all the breath under his ribs for even the sight.
Ha! As a wolf stands above meat, let us go.
Mowgli was not the least afraid of the monkey people in those days, but the monkey people had the liveliest horror of Mowgli. Their tribes, however, raided in the jungle, and so cold lairs stood empty and silent in the moonlight. Ha led up to the ruins of the Queen's Pavilion that stood on the terrace, slipped over the rubbish, and dived down the half-choked staircase that went underground from the center of the pavilion. Mowgli followed on his hands and knees as they crawled a long distance down the sloping passage that turned and twisted several times, and at last came to where the root of some great tree, growing 30 feet overhead, had forced out a solid stone into the wall. They crept through the gap and found themselves in a large vault, whose dome roof had been also broken away by tree roots, so that a few streaks of light dropped down into the darkness.
A safe lair, but not well to travel daily. And now what do we see?
Am I nothing?
Good hunting.
What of the city? What of the walled city? And the city of 100 elephants and 12,000 horses. The cattle past counting. What of the city of the king of 20 kings?
The jungle grows above our head. I only know Hawking has songs among elephants. Bakir has slain all horses in one village. And what is a king?
I told thee that thy city was not as it always has been.
Come before me and spread such heresy. Who is he sitting before me, speaking I speak through a man's lips?
Mowgli they call me. I am of the jungle. The wolves are my people, and Ka is my sister. Father of cobras, who art thou?
I am the warden of the king's treasure.
Who bade me bring the man?
I surely.
But there was no talk of killing. How am I expected to return to the jungle and say I have led thee to thy death?
I talk not of killing till the time, and I see you're going or not going. There's the hole in the wall. You may leave whenever thou so please.
He has asked for this hunting. Let him have it.
Kill!
Look, you Ka. His fangs are black and withered to the gum. The white cobra has outlived his poison, as a snake will. It has rotted out like a dried tree stump.
Are you saying, kill me?
There's been too much talk of killing. I have fought and worse did thee, and now I say you shall live. Let us go.
It is death! Remember, it is death! If not by my fangs, then by the jungle's will! Remember, it is death! It is death! It is death!
What did the Thu mean when he spoke of death?
White or black, or death or life, madness is the most disgraceful thing that can overtake a wild creature.
Madness is the most disgraceful thing that can overtake a wild creature. Ka, does man fall to madness?
Man might kill thrice in a night for just the look of stones they deem precious. Man does not fall to madness, little brother. The problem is with man.
While Mowgli saw fit not to kill the fangless old cobra, Mother Wolf told Mowgli once or twice that Shere Khan was not a creature to be trusted, and that someday he must kill Shere Khan, the Striped One, who was always crossing his path in the jungle. For as Akela grew older and feebler, the lame tiger had come to be great friends of the younger wolves of the pack, who followed him for scraps. I think Akela would have never allowed it if he dared to push his authority to the proper bounds. Then Shere Khan would flatter them and wonder why such fine young hunters were content to be led by a dying wolf and a man's cub.
All the jungle is thine, but Shere Khan will kill you someday.
I have the pack. I have thee, and Baloo. Although he is so lazy, might strike a blow or two for my sake. Why should I be afraid?
Little brother, how often have I told you that Shere Khan is thy enemy?
As many times as there are nuts on that palm. What of it? Shere Khan has a long tail and loud talk like Mao, a peacock.
Baloo knows it, I know it, the pack know it, even the foolish deer know. Tabaki has told thee too.
Tabaki came to me not long ago with some rude talk that I was some naked man's cub and not fit to dig pig nuts. But I caught him by the tail and swung him twice against a palm tree to teach him better manners.
That was foolishness. For though Tabaki is a mischief maker, if you would have listened, he would have told thee of something that concerned thee closely. Akela is getting very old. The ones who loved thee as a young cub are getting old now too. And the young cubs believe, as Shere Khan has taught them, that a man cub has no place in the pack.
I am of the pack, a hunter of the free people. What have I to do with man? And what is a man that he should not run with his brothers? I was born in the jungle, I have obeyed the law of the jungle, and there is no wolf of ours in whom I have not pulled a thorn. Surely they are my brothers.
Little brother, feel under my jaw.
There's a bald spot.
No one in the jungle knows that I, Bagheera, carry that mark, the mark of the collar. And yet it's true. I, too, was born among men, and it was among men, at the king's cage in Udaipur, that I was fed from an iron pan. Behind those bars, I learned the ways of man, night after night after night, until one of those nights, I felt I was Bagheera, the panther, and no man's plaything. I broke that lock with one blow of my paws, and then I came away. And because I had learned the ways of man, I became more terrible in the jungle than Shere Khan. Is it not so?
Yes. All the jungle fear Bagheera, all except Mowgli.
Ah, thou art a man's cub. And just as I return to my jungle, you too must join your brothers in the Valley of Man if thou art not killed in the council.
But why? Why should any wish to kill me?
Look at me. That is why. Not even I can look thee between the eyes. And I was born among men, and I love thee, little brother. The others, they hate thee because their eyes cannot meet thine, because thou art wise, because thou hast pulled out thorns from their feet, because thou art a man.
I did not know these things.
What is the law of the jungle? Strike first, then give tongue. By thy very carelessness they know that thou art a man, and a man's cub. It is in my heart that when Akela misses his next kill, and it takes him more at each hunt to pin the buck, he will be leader no more, and Shere Khan will try him at the council. And then, I have it. Little brother, go down to the Valley of Man and get the red flower that they grow there. Then, when the time comes, you will have a stronger ally than me, or Baloo, or any of the pack that love thee. Get the red flower.
By red flower, Bagheera meant fire. Only no creature in the jungle will call fire by its proper name. Every beast lives in deadly fear of it, and invents about 100 different ways of describing it.
The red flower that grows outside the huts at twilight? I will get some.
Good. Keep it by thy side for time of need.
But Bagheera, art thou sure this is all Shere Khan's doing?
By the broken lock that freed me, little brother, I am certain.
Then by the bull that bought me, I will pay Shere Khan full tale for this. I go.
Ho, Shere Khan, never was a blacker hunting than that frog hunt of thine 10 years ago. That is a man. That is all a man.
Mowgli was far and far through the forest, running hard and his heart was hot in him, and he plunged downward through the bushes to the stream at the bottom of the valley. There he checked, for he heard the yell of the pack hunting, heard the bellow of the Sumbar, and the snort of the buck turned at bay. Then there were the bitter howls of the young wolves. The yells grew fainter and fainter behind him as he ran into the cropland where the villagers lived.
Is that all? If a man cub can do it, surely there can't be too much to fear.
Well done, little brother.
Now, I have seen men thrust a dry branch into that stuff, and presently the red flower blossomed at the end of it. Art thou not afraid?
No, I remember when I was once a man that I sat by it and it was warm and pleasant.
Good. Now, this thing will die if you don't give it things to eat. Keep it well fed, and keep it by your side, for when the time comes, you must use it.
All that day, Mowgli sat in the cave tending his fire pot, dipping dry branches into it to see how they looked. He found a branch that satisfied him, and in the evening, Tabaki came to the cave and told him rudely enough that he was wanted at Council Rock. Laughing as he ran away, Mowgli went to the council. Akela, the lone wolf, led by the side of the rock as a sign that the leadership of the pack was open, and Shere Khan, with his following of scrap-fed wolves, walked to and fro, openly being flattered. Bagheera lay close to Mowgli, and the fire pot was between Mowgli's knees. When they were all gathered together, Shere Khan began to speak, a thing he would have never done when Akela was in his prime.
He has the right to speak. Say so. He is a dog's son. He will be frightened.
Free people! Does Shere Khan lead the pack? What does the tiger do with our leadership?
Seeing that the leadership is open and being asked to speak.
By whom? Are we all jackals to fawn upon this cattle butcher? The leadership of the pack is with the pack alone.
Free people, and ye too, jackals of Shere Khan. For 12 seasons I have led ye to and from the hunt, and in all that time not one has been trapped or maimed. Now I have missed my kill. Ye know how that plot was made. Ye know how you brought me up to an untried buck to make my weaknesses known. It was cleverly done. Your right is to kill me here now, for I ask, who comes to make an end of the lone wolf? For it is my right by the law of the jungle that ye come one by one.
Bah! What have we to do with this toothless fool? He is doomed to die. It is the man-cub who has lived too long. Free people, he was my meat from the first. Give him to me. He has troubled this jungle for 10 seasons. Give him to me, or I will hunt him always, and not give you one bone. He is a man's child, and from the marrow of my bones I hate him.
The man! He's a man!
What's a man have to do with us? Let him go to his own people.
And turn all the people of the villages against us? No, give him to me. He is a man, and none of us can look him between the eyes.
He's eaten our food. He has slept with us. He has driven our game for us. He has broken no word of the law of the jungle.
I paid with him for a bull when he was accepted.
A bull paid 10 years ago. What do we care for bones 10 years old?
10-year-old bones are not worth much, but Bagheera's honor is something he might fight for.
No man can run with the people of the jungle. Give him to me.
He is our brother in all but blood, and ye would kill him here. In truth, I have lived too long, and some of ye are eaters of cattle, and others I hear that under Shere Khan's teachings ye go by dark night and snatch children from villagers' doorsteps. Therefore I know ye to be cowards, as the cowards I speak. It is certain that I must die, and my life is of no worth, otherwise I would offer you that in the man-cub's place. But I know that when my time comes, I'll bear no tooth against ye, for that shall at least save the pack 3 lives. More I cannot do. They'll at least save ye the shame that comes with killing a brother for whom there is no fault. A brother spoken for and brought into the pack according to the law of the jungle.
He's a man! He's a man!
Now the matter is in thy hands. We can do no more except fight.
What is this dog, Stabber? It is to dogs I speak, and I, the man, have brought ye a little of the red flower, which you dogs fear. Good. I say that ye are dogs. I go from you to my own people, if they are my own people. The jungle is shut to me, and now I must forget your talk and your companionship, but I would have been more merciful than thee. And when I go, I will make sure I will not betray thee as thou hast betrayed me. And there shall be no between any of us in the pack. But before I go, there's a debt to pay. Up, dog, up in a man's speech, or I will set thy coat ablaze. Stir a whisker, and I'll shove the red flower down your gullet. Ha, singed jungle cat, it is time for you to go. And for Akela, he lives to free as he pleases, and none shall kill him, because it is my will. And for the rest of you, I will say that you will not stand here anymore lolling at your tongues as that you were somebody's. Go! Go now! Thou wilt not forget me?
Never while we can follow a trail. Come to the foot of that trail when thou art in man, and we will talk to thee, and play with thee by night.
Come soon, O wise little frog. Come soon, for we be old, thy mother and I.
Come soon, little naked son of mine. For listen, child of man, I love thee more than I ever loved my own cubs.
Tell them all. Tell everyone in the jungle not to forget me. Tell all.
The dawn was beginning to break when Mowgli went down to the hillside alone, to meet those mysterious things that were called man. Silence along the banks, little brothers and sisters, for now we must return to the tale. When Mowgli left the wolf's cave after the fight with the pack at Council Rock, he went down to the plowed lands where the villagers lived. All over the plain, cattle and buffaloes were grazing, and when the little boys in charge of the herd saw Mowgli, they shouted and ran away. Mowgli walked on, for he was feeling hungry, and when he came to the village gate, he sat down. When a man came out, he stood up, opened his mouth, and pointed down it to show that he wanted food. The man stared and ran back up the one street of the village, shouting to the priestess, who was a big, fat woman dressed in white with a red and yellow mark on her forehead. The priestess came to the village gate, and with her, people of the village who stared, talked, shouted, and pointed at Mowgli.
What is there to be afraid of? Look at the marks on his arms and legs, the bites of wolves. He's but a wolf child, run away from the jungle.
Be bitten by wolves. Poor child. He is a handsome boy. I love him. By my honor, next foot, he's not unlike that boy that was taken by that chapter.
Let me look! He's better, but he has the very look of my boy.
What the jungle has taken, the jungle has restored. Take the child into thy house, my sister, and forget not to honor the priestess who sees so far into the lives of men.
The crowd parted as the woman beckoned Mowgli to her hut. She gave him a long drink of milk and some bread, and then she laid her hand on his head and looked into his eyes. For she thought, perhaps, that he might be her real son come back from the jungle where the tiger had taken him.
Lithu, oh Lithu, dost thou not remember the day I gave thee thy new shoes? Now those we have never worn shoes, but thou art very like Lithu, and thou shalt be my son.
Mowgli was uneasy, because he had never been under a roof before. What is the good of a man if he does not understand man's talk? Now, he would be as silly and dumb as a man would be with us in the jungle. Mowgli reasoned he must speak their talk. It was not for fun that he had learned while he was with the wolves to imitate the challenge of bucks in the jungle and the grunt of the little wild pigs. So, as soon as Meswet pronounced a word, Mowgli would imitate it, almost perfectly. And before dark, he had learned the names of many things in the hut. There was a difficulty at bedtime, because Mowgli would not sleep under anything that looked so much like a panther trap as that hut, and fled to the outside to sleep.
Give him his will. If he was truly sent in the place of our son, he will not run away.
This is for reward for following thee 20 miles. Thou smellst of wood smoke and cattle already, altogether like a man. Wait, little brother, I bring news.
Are all well in the jungle?
All except the wolves that were burned by the red flower. Now listen, Shere Khan has gone off far to hunt till his coat regrows, but when he returns, he swears he will lay thy bones at the Mandinka.
There are 2 words for that. I've also made a little promise myself. I'm tired tonight, very tired, Grey Brother, but bring me the news always.
Thou will not forget that thou art a wolf. Man will not make thee forget.
Never. I will always remember that I love thee and all in our pack, but also I will remember that I've been cast out of the pack.
And thou mightst be cast out of another. Remember, little brother, man are only man. Their talk is like the talk of frogs in a pond. When I come back down here again, I will wait for you at the edge of the grazing grounds in the bamboo.
For 3 months after that night, Mowgli hardly ever left the village gate. He was so busy learning the words, ways, and customs of men. First, he had to wear cloth round him, which annoyed him horribly. And then he had to learn about money, which he did not in the least understand, and about plowing, of which he did not see the use. Then the little children in the village made him very angry. Luckily, the law of the jungle had taught him to keep his temper, for in the jungle, life and food depend on keeping your temper. But when they made fun of him because he would not play games or because he mispronounced some word, only the knowledge that it was unsportsmanlike to kill little naked cubs kept him from picking them up and breaking them into two. The priestess told Messua's husband that Mowgli had better be set off to work as soon as possible, and the village headman told Mowgli that he would have to go out with the buffaloes the next day and herd them while they grazed. No one was more pleased than Mowgli, and that night, because he was appointed a servant of the village, as it were, he went off to the circle that met every evening at the masonry platform under a great fig tree. It was the village club, and the headman, the watchman, the barber, who knew all the gossip of the village, and old Buldeo, the village hunter, met. The old men sat around the tree and talked far into the night. They told wonderful tales of gods and men and ghosts, and Buldeo told even more wonderful ones of the ways of the beasts in the jungle, till the eyes of the children sitting outside the circle bulged out of their head. Most of the tales were about animals, for the jungle was always at their door. The deer and the wild pigs grubbed at their crops, and now and again the tiger carried off a man at twilight, within the sight of the village gates. Mowgli, who naturally knew something about what they were talking of, had to cover his face to show that he was laughing, while Buldeo climbed from one wonderful story to another.
The tiger that had carried away Messua's son was a ghost tiger, whose body was inhabited by the soul of a wicked old money who had died some years ago. And I know that this is true because he always limped from a blow that he got in a riot when his account books were burned. The tiger that I speak of, he limps too, and the tracks of his path.
Heard these tell such cobweb and moon talk? That tiger limps because he was born lame, as everyone knows. To speak of a moneylender and a beast that never had the courage of a jackal is child's talk.
Oh, it's the jungle rat, is it? Thou art so wise, better bring his hide to HAR-BER. The government has had 100 rupees on his life. Better still, talk not when my elders speak.
I've sat here all evening, except once or twice. Buldeo has not said a single word of truth concerning the jungle, which is at his very doors. So how am I supposed to believe the tales of ghosts, gods, and goblins, which he says he has seen?
It's full time that boy went to herding.
The custom of most villages is for a few boys to take the cattle and buffaloes out to graze in the early mornings and bring them back at night. The very cattle that would trample a man to death allow themselves to be banged, bullied, and shouted at by children that hardly come up to their noses. So long as the boys keep with the herds, they are safe. For not even the tiger will charge and mock the cattle. But if they straggle to pick flowers or hunt lizards, they are sometimes carried off. Mowgli went through the village street at the dawn and drove the herd to the edge of the plain where the Wanganga came out of the jungle.
Ah, I have waited here very many days. What is the meaning of this cattle herding work?
It is an order. I'm a village herd for a while. What news of Shere Khan?
He has hidden for a month to throw thee off thy guard, but he crossed the ranges last night to Baki Hoppa on his trails. He means to kill thee.
I'm not scared of Shere Khan, but Tabaki is very cunning.
No need to fear Tabaki. I met him at dawn. He told me everything upon the promise of the tooth. Shere Khan's plan is to wait for thee at the village gates this evening. He waits for thee alone. He lies up in the dry ravine of the Wangingo right now.
Has he eaten or does he hunt empty?
He killed at dawn a pig. He has drunk tail. Remember, Shere Khan would never fast, even for the sake of revenge.
Oh, fool, what a cub's cub it is. Eaten and drunk too. Does he suppose I shall wait until he has slept? I could take a herd around and sweep them down the head of the ravine. But he could escape at the foot. But these buffalo will not charge unless they wind him. Can we get behind his tracks so they may smell it?
He swam far down the Wangunga to cut that off.
Tabaki told him that. He could not think of it himself. We can cut the herd in two. Canst thou help me, great brother?
Not I, perhaps, but I have brought a wise helper.
Ooh! Hakela? Hakela! I knew thou wouldst not forget me. We have big work in hand. Cut the herd in two. Keep the cows and calves together, and the bulls and plow buffalo separate. Canst thou cut the herd in two for me, Hakela, great brother?
Mowgli's plan was simple enough. All he wanted to do was to make a big circle uphill and get to the head of the ravine, and then take the bulls down it to catch Shere Khan between the bulls and the cows. For he knew that after a meal and a full drink, Shere Khan would not be in any condition to fight or to clamber up the sides of the ravine. He was soothing the buffaloes by voice now, and Akela had dropped far to the rear, only whimpering once or twice to hurry the rear guard. It was a long, long circle, for they did not wish to get too near to the ravine and give Shere Khan warning. At last, Mowgli rounded up the bewildered herd at the head of the ravine, on a grassy patch that sloped steeply down to the ravine itself. From that height, you could see across the treetops down to the plains below. But what Mowgli looked at was the sides of the ravine, and he saw with a great deal of satisfaction that they ran nearly straight up and down, while the vines and creepers that hung over them would give no foothold to a tiger who wanted to get out.
Khan! It is I now who speaks. Cattle thief, it is time to come to the council rock. How thou knowest he answers me not. Coward that he is. Hurry them down, Akela, good brother.
Driven by the wolves, the herd plunged into the ravine to make a trampling of the old tiger. The other herd children, watching the cattle a half a mile away, hurried to the village as fast as their legs could carry them, crying to Buldeo and all who would listen that the buffaloes had gone mad and run away. The torrent of black horns, foaming muzzles, and staring eyes whirling down the ravine, just as boulders go down in flood time. They knew what the business was before them, the terrible charge of the buffalo herd against which no tiger can hope to stand. When the running of the herd and the whirl of dust and debris had cleared, and the cattle had come up from the ravine and scattered out across the plain, Shere Khan needed no more trampling, for surely he was dead. Mowgli, remembering his promise to hang the tiger's hide from Council Rock, took out his skinning knife he had received from the man-pack and went to claim his prize. But he found no tiger, for Shere Khan had never been in the ravine.
He is not here.
But Tabaki said.
Tabaki, the trickster has fooled thee with his lies.
How thick am I to be fooled by that jackal?
What is this folly? Wilt thou hurt in the stampede, boy?
Only my pride shows injury now, Hunter.
Has the herd gone mad?
No, I drove them to their madness.
Then thou art mad, to drive the herd to stampede. See how many head you have cost the village this day? Even your dear Meswell's husband shall not think highly of you. For most of these were his. Explain yourself, boy.
I drove them down the ravine to overrun the lame tiger that lay here, though he did not lay here. Like a spirit, he vanished in a fool's lie.
Art thou the fool or the liar? Think that thou canst skin a tiger. This is a lame tiger too, and there's 100 rupees on his head. I might have overlooked that lame herd went off if he had been trampled, and perhaps would have even given me 1 rupee of the reward when I had taken his hide to Kaniwara.
Huh. Perhaps give me 1 rupee of the reward while taking the hide to Kaniwara, and I'll see that I need the skin for my onions. Hint, old man, go back to your hut.
What talk is this to the chief hunter of the village? Thy luck and stupidity of thy buffaloes only would have helped thee to the kill. Thou couldn't even skin him properly. Little beggar brat Mowgli, I'll be not giving thee 1 anna of the reward, only a very good beating.
Caleb, this man plagues me.
Boy, come, slowly. There are 2 wolves behind me at a pace. Slowly, I have not my gun.
What am I to be afraid of? My brothers? Hast thou not heard I am master of the jungle? To call me a liar? Here are my lies. Caleb, thou art altogether right, Buldeo. Thou will never give me 1 anna of the reward.
So this is what has become of the man-cub. Having his brothers do his bidding against man is neither wolf nor man, it would seem.
Lion fraud, I will rip out your throat myself!
Hold, fair brother. We know why not he has vexed you with those riddles. Stay thy tooth when no he speaks.
Yes, stay thy tooth, Pop, though Shere Khan will stay none of his.
Hi, Tabaki, where is the striped one?
Think you still that you have the ear of the jungle after taking in with the man village?
What madness drips out of your tongue, spotted one? Where is Shere Khan?
Shere Khan goes where he wants and hunts where he pleases. And this night, he goes to claim your heart.
To claim my heart? It is here beating inside me. Bid him come and take it, coward that he is.
The fool speaks in riddles yet.
Let him up, Akela.
What sorcerer is this? You are the master of wolves and hyenas, hunter of ghost fighters?
It is getting dark. Can I help me round up the herd and take them to the man village?
Buldeo hobbled away to the village as fast as he could, looking back over his shoulder in case Mowgli should change into something terrible. When he got to the village, he told a tale of magic, enchantment, and sorcery. The men of the priestess looked very grave. When the moon rose over the plain, making it look all milky, the horrified villagers saw Mowgli. with 2 wolves at his heels, driving their cattle back to them. Then they banged the temple bells and blew the congs louder than ever, and Mesua cried, and Buldeo embroidered the story of his adventures in the jungle, till he ended by saying that Caleb stood up on his hind legs and talked like a man.
Stay hidden in the shadows, my brothers, until I see what the matter is about.
Sorcerer! Jungle demon!
Again?
Rat!
Last time because I was a man, and this time because I am a wolf. Let us go, Kayla.
They say thou art a sorcerer who can turn himself into a beast at will. I do not believe, but go away or they will kill thee. Buldeo says thou art a wizard, but I know thou hast avenged Methu's death.
Come back, Mesua.
Come back or we will stone thee.
Run back. This is one of the fool's tales they tell the big tree at dusk. I have at least paid for thy son's life. Run back, Mesua, for I am no wizard. Farewell, Mesua. Farewell. No more sleeping in traps for me, Kayla.
He's gone.
Buldeo began to tell the story of Mowgli, the devil child, from one end to another with additions and inventions. How Mowgli had turned himself into a wolf, then into a boy again. The village had got hold of Mesua and her husband, who were undoubtedly the father and mother of this devil child, and had barricaded them in their own hut, and presently would torture them to make them confess that they were witch and wizard, and then they would be burned to death. But the village wished to kill the jungle boy first. After that, they would dispose of Mesua and her husband, and divide their land and buffaloes among the village. Mesua's husband had some remarkably fine buffaloes too. It was an excellent thing to destroy wizards, Buldeo thought, and the people who entertained wolf children out of the jungle were clearly the worst kinds of witches. Mowgli, along with Akela and Grey Brother, were halfway back to Council Rock when they came across Bagheera and Mowgli's wolf brothers, who had come in search of them when Grey Brother and Akela never returned. After affections were exchanged, the day's story relayed.
I would have taken a price from that man pack, but I would have spared the woman that gave you milk. Yes, I would have spared her alone.
Leave men alone.
Aye, leave men alone.
I do not wish to hear, see, or even smell men again.
But what if men do not leave thee alone, little brother?
We be 5.
Baloo and I would also attend to that hunting.
Jungle people, I bring news from the world of man. The village of the man pack where they cast out the man cub hums like a hornet's nest.
That was a big stone that I threw.
The red flower blossoms at the gate of the village, and men sit about carrying guns.
I know, for I have good cause that men do not carry guns for pleasure. Presently, little brother, the man who I healed will come with a gun, if he be not already on it.
But men pack have cast me out. What more do they need?
Thou art a man, little brother. It is not for us, the free hunters, to decide what thy brethren do, or why.
Come, I know the secret way into the village.
Does man trap man, little brother?
They're always making traps for their own greed.
And those?
Seeing them home. Can we hold them?
We can head them round and round like headed goats and find no man.
But remember, the song must not be of the sweetest. Bagheera, go and help make that song.
It is no light work hunting for a man's cub. When shall I sleep? Me to sing to men. Still, I shall go.
A midnight call is quite awful enough to begin with. No translation can give it effectively, or the yelping scorn the full brothers in Bagheera threw into every word of it. The men huddled in the knot, old Buldeo's gun barrel waving like a banana leaf, to every point of the compass at once. Mowgli's friends heard the trees crash when the men hastily climbed up to the branches, and Buldeo began repeating incantations and charms. The one idea in Mowgli's head was to get the Mesua and her husband out of the trap, whatever it was, for he had a natural mistrust of traps. Later on, he promised himself he would pay his debts to the village at large. Angry as he was with the whole breed and community of man, something jumped in his throat and made him catch his breath when he saw Mesua bound and slumped over in her own hut.
Men must always be making traps for men, or they are not content. Last night there was Mowgli. Tonight it is Mesua and her man, and from tomorrow and there on out, it'll be Mowgli's turn again.
I knew that he would come. Now I know that he is my son.
Why are these thongs? Why have they tied thee?
To be put to death for making a son of thee. Look, I bleed.
Whose work is this? There's a price to pay.
I was too rich. I had too many cattle, and now she and I are to be witches for giving thee shelter.
I do not understand. Let Mesua tell the tale.
I gave thee milk, Mithu. Dost thou remember? Because thou art my son whom the tiger took, and because I love thee very dearly. They said I was the mother of a devil, and therefore worthy of death.
And what is a devil? Death I have seen.
See, I knew he was no sorcerer. He is my son. My son.
Son or sorcerer, what good will it do us now? We're as good as dead.
Yonder is the road to the jungle. Your hands and feet are free. Go now.
We do not know the jungle, my son, as thou knowest. I do not think that I can walk far.
And the people of the village will be upon us to drag us back.
I do not wish to harm anyone in this village, yet, but I do not think they will stay thee. In a little while they have much more to think upon. Go now, I will return to the beating of the heart. Father, what dost thou do here?
I heard my children singing through the woods, and I followed the one I loved best. Little frog, I have a desire to see that woman who gave thee milk.
They have bound me to kill her. She goes to the jungle with her man now.
I also will follow. I am old, but not yet toothless. Our Ruksha gave thee thy first milk, but Bagheera speaks truth. Man goes to man at the last.
Thou shalt go, but do not let us see.
Thou was never afraid of me, little frog.
I've spoken to my men. Kamiwara is 30 miles from here. It is said that they govern all the land and do not suffer people to break feed each other or burn without witnesses. If we get hither tonight, we live. Otherwise, we die.
Live then. No one of this jungle will be leaving the gates tonight.
With the little I have, we can buy a horse.
We can take nothing else.
A horse is well foddered, for Mesua is tired. Does thou know the trail to Kaniwara? Good. Now remember, there may be some singing before and behind you in the jungle, but do not be afraid. It is the favor of the jungle, and there is no tooth bared against you. There is no foot lifted against you. But go, but there might be some singing before and behind thee.
We understand. Goodbye, my son. We must go.
Follow. Make sure everyone knows these two are safe.
I am ashamed of thy brethren.
What? Did they not sing sweetly to Buldeo?
Too well, too well. They made even me forget my pride, and by the broken lock that freed me, I went howling through the jungle as if I was wooing in the spring. Didst thou not hear us?
I have another game afoot. Ask Buldeo if he liked the song. But where are the four?
What need of the four, little brother? I can hold them. I am Bagheera. Bagheera! Bagheera! In the jungle, in the night, as I dance with my shadow, so shall I dance with men. Who shall stay my stroke?
Be still, be still. It is the fault of night and not fault of thine.
It was the smells of the night. This air cries aloud to me. How did thou know, little brother? Thou art of the jungle and not of the jungle, and I am just a black panther, but I love thee. What of the woman that gave thee milk?
She goes to the jungle with her man.
Okay, listen, little brother. The fever is out of my body now, and I have a plan. They seem to have laid a trap for her. Let them find me in that trap instead. Many would not dare leave their houses after meeting me, and I don't think they will tie me with cords.
Be wise then.
Would you like to join me, little brother?
No, I do not wish to see the man.
Be it so. Pah! This place is rank with man. It is just like the king's cages at Udaipur. Art thou completely sure, little brother, that you do not wish to join me?
I am sure of it.
All right. Ah, now they come.
The witch and the wizard. Let us see if hot coins will make them turn the head over their heads.
They will beat them first.
Oh no, little brother, what have I done?
Nothing but great good.
They will cower in their huts and not stir until day comes.
Where does Hati feed tonight?
Where he chooses. Who can answer for the silent one? What need of Hati? What can he do which we cannot?
Bid him come to Mouthly. Bid him come to Mouthly the Frog, and if he does not hear, bid him come because of the sack of the field of Berkport.
But indeed, little brother, it is not seemly to say come and go to Hati. Although, I would give many nights of hunting to hear a master word that compels the silent one. The sack of the fields of Berkport. For the sack of the fields of Berkport I shall go.
Bagheera went away, leaving Mowgli stabbing furiously with his skinning knife into the earth. Mowgli had never seen human blood in his life before, till he had seen, and what meant much more to him, smelled Meswa's blood on the thongs that bound her. And Meswa had been kind to him, and so far as he knew anything about love, he loved Meswa as completely as he hated the rest of mankind. But deeply as he loathed them, their talk, their cruelty, and their cowardice, not for anything the jungle had to offer could he bring himself to take a human life and have the terrible scent of blood back again in his nostrils. His plan was simpler, but much more thorough, and he laughed to himself when he thought that it must have been one of old Buldeo's tales told under the tree in the evening that put the idea in his head.
Little brother, it was a master word. They were feeding by the river, but obeying it as though they were bullocks. Look where they come now.
I will now tell a tale that was told to be Maya Hunter. It concerns an elephant, old and wise, who fell into a trap, and with the sharpened stake in that trap, scarred him from a little above his heel to about the crest of his shoulder, leaving a white mark. And when men came to take him from that trap, he broke from their ropes, for he was strong, and went away till his wound was healed. When he came back by night to the fields of those men, angry as he was, I remembered now that he had 3 daughters. These things happened many, many rains ago, and very far away. What happened to the fields of that next reaping, Hathi?
They reaped by me and my 3 daughters.
And the plowing that follows the reaping?
There was no plowing.
And to the men that lived by the green crops of the ground?
They went away.
And to the shelter that the men slept in?
We tore the roof to pieces and let the jungle swallow the walls. Now I ask this man, how the news of it came to be.
A man told me. Now I can see even Buldeo can speak a word in truth. It was well done, Hathi, with the white mark. But the second time it shall be done better with a man to direct. Who knows? Send in all your people. For knows the men pack that cast me out. They were idle, senseless, and cruel, and they play with their mouths. And when they are full fed, they throw their own breed into the red flower. This I have seen. There's no other friend to live here anymore. I hate them.
Kill them.
What good are white bones to me? I do not wish them to live here. Make them run as the men ran from the fields of Berkport. Send it all. Let the deer, pig, and nogai look to it, for the flattering of the pick leaves and the pattering of their spindles. Let in the jungle, Hathi.
There would be no killing. My tusks were red at the sacks of Berkport, and I did not wish to wake that smell again.
Nor I. I do not wish for even their clean bones to lie on the earth. Make them run and go, for I have smelled and seen the blood of the woman who gave me food, the woman who they would have killed but for me, and now they could live anywhere. Make them find their own lair. Let in the jungle, Hathi.
Ah, so the scar of stake in my hand burned or washed the village down in Springdale. Now I see. Thy Lord will be our word. We will let in the jungle.
By the broken lock that freed me, art thou the naked thing that I spoke for at the council all those years ago? Little brother, when the time comes, speak for me, speak for Balu, speak for us all. We are cubs before thee.
It was a dark night when Hathi and his son slipped down from the jungle and broke off the poles of the matchings with their trunks. They fell as a snapped stalk of hemlock and bloom falls, and the man that tumbled from the herd, the deep gurgling of the elephants in their ears. When the villagers looked in the morning, they saw their crops were lost, and that meant death if they did not get away, for they lived year in and year out as near to starvation as the jungle was near to them. They heard, as the last bird and family fled through the gate, a crash of falling beams and thatch behind walls. They saw a shiny, snaky black trunk lifted from an instant, scattering sod and thatch. Then it disappeared. And there was another crash, followed by a squeal. Hathi had been plucking off the roofs of the huts as he plucked water lilies, and a rebounding beam had pricked him. He needed only this to enchain his full strength. For of all things in the jungle, the wild elephant enraged is the most wantonly destructive. He kicked backward at the mud wall that crumbled at the stroke, and crumbling melted in yellow mud under the torrent of rain. Then he wheeled and squealed and tore through the narrow streets, leaning against the huts right and left, shivering the doors and crumbling up the caves, while his 3 sons raged behind him as they raged in the stacked fields of Berkport. A month later, the place was a dimpled mound covered with soft, green young stuff. and by the end of the rains there was a roaring jungle in full blast on the spot that had been under the plowed lands not 6 months before. But while peace would come to the land, peace would not be had for the jungle people just yet, and certainly not for Mowgli.
Mowgli! Mowgli! A little frog!
Look ye yonder, Baloo. Look what I've compelled the Silent One to do upon my bidding.
How does evil works done this night?
Is the village of evil men that falls.
You breathe heavy, Baloo. What takes such breath from your lungs?
I hurry as I can, but it's fast enough. Oh, shame and horror. I bear nothing but pain from my man cub, my dear sweet Mowgli.
Speak plainly, old teacher of the law. What grieves you?
What words you bring so gravely? Hold Bear, hold Baloo.
The smell of blood is in the air. Dost thou bleed, old friend?
It is no more than I deserve. The Striped One has returned. I did as I could, Mowgli, but he and his spotted fool dragged your dear mother Ruksha from her lair. He bade me come and call thee to return. One final lesson from the teacher to the pupil, said he.
Ruksha?
Our mother?
He goes to claim your heart.
Does she live?
Upon some bruises and scratches rendered unto her from their mistreatment, she yet lived when I came for you, though I cannot say for how long that will yet to be true. The look in Shere Khan's eyes.
Baloo! Enough!
Have I exchanged one mother's life for another?
I have failed you, little brother.
No, you would never. But now is not the time for what coulds. Where does the devil drag my dear mother to?
He waits for you at Council Rock.
Then let us go in haste.
He bids thee come alone. He will tear out her throat. He made sure to tell me that.
The fiend, she is mother to us all.
Peace, Grey Brother. This fight is mine alone, and has been since the day a man cub wandered into the jungle. I go.
There is more now in the jungle than jungle law, Baloo.
The moon was going down just when Mowgli came to the hill at Council Rock.
Ah, the man cub. Come at last to see his end.
Mother, art thou well?
I am well enough.
They have cast me out of the man pack, Mother, and now I come for the hide of Shere Khan to keep my word.
I told him on that day, when he crammed his head and shoulders into my cave, hunting for thy life, little frog. I told him that the hunter would become the hunted. It is well done.
Silence, she-wolf. Ye who brought the man cub into the pack, ye who denied Shere Khan the right to his kill. In truth, this be her doing. Would you like to see her punished for her insolence?
Should you touch one hair of her hide?
What then, man cub? What then?
Yes, man cub, what then?
Keep silent, cowardly fool. My meat is with your master, and not with thee, O slave.
You should speak with more respect to he who will have a care for the she-wolf that nursed thee, whilst I rend your bones. Perhaps we shall let her live, or perhaps we shall make a meal of her. My belly will be full brimming, but Tabaki hungers constantly.
Enough of your threats, Laymon. Called you me here to talk?
I said I would taste your blood, man cub. Now I desire a long drink.
Unclean villain! Stand away from my mate! Daruka!
Daruka, leave him! Our frog is in danger!
Now this is the law of the jungle.
As old and true as the sky, and the wolf as the peak may prosper, so the wolf shall break in the sky. As the big brown girls in the tree trunk, the law will forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the wolf is the strength of the pack.
Let it be done.
Art thou whole? I am made whole with thee. Come, little frog, and let me look upon your face.
It was well done. We were lonely in the jungle without thee, little brother.
Call the pack home, Michaela. I wish to share words with them.
Ever since Akela had been deposed, the pack had been without a leader, hunting and fighting at their own pleasure. But they answered the call from habit, and some of them were lame from traps they had fallen into. Some limped from shot wounds, and some were mangy from eating bad food, and many were missing. But they came to the council rock, all that were left of them, and saw Shere Khan's striped hide on the rock, and the hung claws dangling at the end of the empty dangling feet. It was then that Mowgli made up a song that came up into his throat all by itself.
Look well, O loaves. Look well. Have I not kept my word?
Lead us again, Akela.
Lead us again, O man cub, for we be sick of this lawlessness. It would be the free people once more.
Man pack and wolf pack, both have cast me out now, and now I hunt in the jungle alone.
We will join that fight.
Nay, when ye are full fed, the madness may seize upon you once again. You are not called the free people for nothing. The freedom is yours. You have earned it. Now eat it.
So Mowgli went away and hunted with the 4 cubs in the jungle from that day on. It was after the letting of the jungle and the killing of Shere Khan that the pleasantest part of Mowgli's life began. He had the good conscience that comes from paying debts. All of the jungle was his friend, and just feared him a little bit. The thing that he did and saw and heard when he was wandering from one people to another, with or without his 4 companions, would make many, many stories, each as long as this one. So you will never be told but we must return to the tale, one at a time. Father and Mother Wolf passed away, and Mowgli rolled a big boulder against the mouth of the cave and cried the death song over them. Baloo grew very old and stiff, and even Bagheera, whose nerves were steel and whose muscles were iron, was a shade slower on the kill than he had ever been. Akela turned from gray to milky white with pure age. His ribs stuck out, and he walked as though he had been made of wood. Mowgli killed for him. One twilight, when he was trotting leisurely across the ranges to give Akela the half-buck that he had killed, the brothers 4 jogged behind him, sparring a little and tumbling one over the other, for the joy of just being alive. But for some, being alive can be a burdensome fate.
The moon is hidden tonight, is it not, old Akela?
Come ye now to pay your debts, Jackal?
To the likes of the old and frail? A debtor should be so fortunate.
The pack hunts you this night.
Let them come. Tabaki the outcast has little to fear and less to lose in these days. Never was I so well fed as when Shere Khan entered your ranges. A good friend to me was Shere Khan.
Shere Khan never counted thee among friends, for he had none. All you did was feast upon his scraps, foolish one.
Oh, but what a feast indeed! And now what has become of Tabaki the clever? I've again become a chaser of frogs and an eater of mice.
As ever you were. The law of the jungle.
The law! The law. The law of the jungle is dead, Akela. And now go you to join it. My belly is full, old Akela, but perhaps I have room for one more bite. An aged morsel.
Akela?
Said I not it would be my last fight, little brother? It is good hunting.
Thou wert the wisest of all hunters.
Even so I die, and I die by thee, little brother. It has been long since the days of Shere Khan, and the man cub that rolled naked in the dust.
Nay, I am a wolf, and I share one skin with the free people.
Thou art a man, little brother. Wolfing on my watching, my life I owe to thee. Hast thou forgotten? All debts are paid now. Go to thine own people. I tell thee again, go to thine own people.
And I will hunt in the jungle alone. I have said it.
After the summer comes the rains, and after the rains comes the spring. Go before thou art driven.
But who will drive me?
Mowgli will drive Mowgli. Go back to thine own people. I tell thee, go to man.
When Mowgli drives Mowgli, I will go. And Kayla? Kayla? Good hunting.
In the jungle, the seasons slide one into another almost without division. There seem to be only two, the wet and the dry. But if you look closely below the torrents of rain and the clouds of char and dust, you will find all four going round in their regular ring. Spring is the most wonderful, because she has not to cover a clean, bare field with new leaves and flowers, but to dry before her the half-green things which the winter has suffered to live, and to make the partly dressed stale earth feel new and young once more. And this she does so well that there is no spring in the world like the jungle spring. The jungle people are very busy in the spring, and Mowgli could hear them grunting and screaming and whistling according to their own kind. Their voices then are different from their voices at other times of the year, and that is one of the reasons why spring is called, in the jungle, is called the time of new talk. Mowgli grew older now. The jungle people, who used to fear him for his wits, feared him now for his strength. And when he moved quietly on his own affairs, the mere whisper of his coming cleared the wood paths. And yet, the look in his eyes was always gentle. Even when he fought, his eyes never blazed as Bagheera's did. They only grew more and more interested, excited. And that was one thing that Bagheera himself did not understand. He asked Mowgli about it, and the boy said,
When I miss the kill, I am angry. When I go empty for 2 days, I am very angry. Do my eyes not talk then?
The mouth is hungry, but the eyes say nothing. Hunting, eating, swimming, climbing, it is all one and the same, like a stone in wet or dry weather. The time new talk approaches. That leaf knows it. It is very good.
But is it well for the Black Panther to lay on his back and beat his paws in the air as though he were a tree cat?
What?
I say it is well for the Black Panther to mouth and cough and howl and roll, but remember, we be masters of the jungle, thou and I.
Yes, we be surely masters of the jungle. Who art so strong as Mowgli? Who so wise? What? I said we be beyond question the master of the jungle. Does the man cub not sleep on the ground then? Does he fly? The time when we talk is near. Be glad.
I know that the time when you talk is near, because that is when all of you run away and leave me alone.
But indeed, little brother, we do not always do that.
I say you do. I say you always go. How was it just last season that I was gathering sugarcane from the man fields, and I sent a runner, I sent thee to hunt thee, and yet he did not return upon that night to pluck the grass.
He came only 2 nights later, and of that long, sweet grass that you loved so, man cub, he picks more than any cub could eat in all the nights of the rains.
But I saw him in the valley, as though he dancing in the moonlight, as though he had a trail of 3 elephants behind him, and I called him, and he did not come, and I am the master of the jungle.
It was time when you talk. Perhaps thou didst not call him by the master word?
I do not know, nor do I care. My stomach is heavy in me. Make a rest for my head.
There is one day when all things are tired, and the very smells as they drift in the heavy air are old and used. One cannot explain this, but it feels so. Up to this year, Mowgli had always been delighting the turn of the seasons. It was he who generally saw the first eye of the spring deep down among the grasses, and the first bank of spring in the clouds, which are like nothing else in the jungle. But that spring, as he told Bagheera, his stomach was changed in him. Ever since the bamboo shoots turned spotty brown, he had been looking forward to the morning when the smells should change. But when the morning came, and more of the peacock, blazing in bronze, blue, and gold, cried it aloud to all along the misty woods, and Mowgli opened his mouth to send on the cry. The words choked between his teeth, and a feeling came over him that began in his toes and ended in his hair, a feeling of pure unhappiness. So that he looked himself over to be sure that he had not trod on some thorn. A light spring rain, an elephant rain as they call it, drove across the jungle in a belt half a mile wide, left the new leaves wet and nodding behind, and died out in a double rainbow and a light roll of thunder. The spring hum broke out all over the jungle folk, seemed to be giving a tongue all at once. All except Mowgli. He killed early in the evening and ate but little, and he ate alone. Mowgli called to his brothers, but none came, because all the jungle people were away singing or fighting. It was a perfect white night, as they call it. All green things seemed to have made a month's growth since the morning. The mosses curled deep and warm over his feet. The young grass had no cutting edges, and all the voices of the jungle boomed deep in one harp string, touched by the moon of the new talk, who splashes her light full on rock and pool, slipped it between trunks and creeper, and sifted it through a million leaves. Trying to forget his unhappiness, Mowgli ran. It was more like flying than anything else, for he had chosen the long downward slope that leads to the northern marshes, through the heart of the main jungle, where the springy ground deadened to the fall of his feet. A man-taught man would have picked his way with many stumbles through the cheating moonlight, but Mowgli's muscles, trained by years of experience, bore him up as though he were a feather. He ran till the smell of flowers warned him that he was near the marshes, and those lay far beyond his furthest hunting grounds. Forgetting that he was no longer in his own jungle, where he could do what he pleased, he trotted carelessly through the dew-loaded grasses till he came to the hut where the light stood. 3 or 4 yelping dogs gave tongue, for he was on the outskirts of the village.
Sleep. It was about a jackal that waked the dogs.
Meswa?
Who calls?
Hast thou forgotten?
If it be thou, what name did I give thee? Say.
Nathu.
Come, my son. My son? But it is no longer my son. It is a godling of the woods. Art thou him I called Nathu, or a godling indeed?
But where's the man that dug in the dirt on the night he was afraid?
He is dead. A year.
And he?
My son that was born 2 reigns ago. If thou art a godling, give him the favor of the jungle, that he may be safe among thy people, as we were safe on that night. And if thou art nothing whom the tiger took, he is then thy younger brother. Give him an elder brother's blessing.
What do I know of this thing called a blessing? I'm neither a godling nor his brother. But, oh, Meswa, my heart is heavy in me.
Like enough, this comes of running about the marshes by night. Beyond question, the fever has soaked thee to the marrow. I shall make a fire, and thou shalt drink warm milk. Son, have any told thee that thou art beautiful beyond all men? I am first, then. It is right, though it comes seldom, that a mother should tell her son these good things. Thou art very beautiful. Never have I looked upon such a man. Do not bring thy servants with thee. We've always lived at peace with the jungle.
It is peace, but now I must go.
Come back again, son, for I love thee. Night or day, the door is never shut for thee.
I will surely come back. And now I have a little cry against thee. Why did ye not come when I called so long ago?
So long ago? It was but last night. We were singing in the jungle the new songs, remembered thou? And as soon as those songs were sung, I followed thee. I left all of the others and followed Hotfoot. And now what is to be?
And would ye not follow me to the man pack?
We follow thee, we follow thee, we follow thee always, except in the time of the new talk, of the spring running. Bagheera spoke truth.
And he said?
Man goes back to man at the last Rachka, our mother said.
So did the Kala the night he died.
Also says Kaha, who is wiser than Saul.
What dost thou say, Grey brother?
They cast thee out with bad talk. They cut your mouth with stones. They sent Buldeo to slay thee. They would have thrown thee into the red flower. Thou, and not I, have said they are evil and senseless. Thou, and not I. I follow my own people. You led in the jungle upon them.
I ask thee what thou sayest.
Man cub, master of the jungle, son of Rachka, lay a brother to me, though I forget a little in the spring. But thy trail is my trail, thy lair is my lair, thy kill is my kill, and thy death fight is my death fight. But what will thou say to the jungle?
Call him home. I have something in my stomach and I wish to say.
Hast thou then forgotten nothing? The master of the jungle goes back to man. Come to Council Rock.
He will return in the summer heat. Run and sing with us, Grey Brother.
But the master of the jungle goes back to man.
Is the time of the new talk any less sweet for that? So when Mowgli, heavy-hearted, came through the well-remembered rocks to the place where he had been brought to into the council, he found only the brothers four, Baloo, who was nearly blind with age, and the heavy, cold-blooded Kaa, coiled around Akela's empty seat.
Thy trail ends here then, manling. Cry thy cry. We be of one blood, thou and I.
My strength is gone from me, and it's not from any poison. When I look back, I just hear a double step, and thou hast hidden. When I look behind the tree, it says they have disappeared. And when I call, it is as they are hounding back the answer. When I sleep, I do not rest. When I run the spring running, I am not made still. When I bathe, I am not made cool. And the red flowers in my body, my bones are water, and I know not what I mean.
What need of talk? Akela by the river said it. Mowgli should drive Mowgli back to the man pack. I said it, but who listens now to Baloo? Bagheera, for where is Bagheera this night? For he also knows it is the law.
Both my feet drag me back here, but how shall I leave these nights?
There is neither word nor will to hold thee back. Look up! Who may question the master of the jungle? I saw thee playing among the rocks yonder when thou was just a little frog. And Bagheera, who bought thee for the price of a young bull newly killed, saw thee also. Of that looking over, we two only remain. For Ruksha, thy layer mother is dead, thy layer father Daruka. The old wolf pack is long since dead, and thou knowest whither Shere Khan went. And Akela died by the tooth of a jackal. There remains nothing but old bones. It is no longer the man cub that asks the leave of his pack, but the master of the jungle that changes his trails. Who shall question man in his ways?
By Bagheera and the bull that bought me.
Therefore, I did not come. It was a long hunt, but he lies dead in the bushes now. A bull in his second year. The bull that frees thee, little brother. From now on, my word is Baloo's word. Remember, Bagheera loves thee. Good luck on a new trail, master of the jungle. Remember always, Bagheera loved thee.
Thou hast heard. There is no more. First, come to me, O wise little frog.
It is hard to cast the skin.
The stars are thin tonight. Where shall we lair? For from now on, we follow new trails.
Oh, sorry, coming.
What have you been doing up there all day?
Oh, just dreaming. Thanks for the book, Miss Clifton.
Anytime.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.